Are you a lifelong fan of General Hospital?
Are you a new fan who wants to know more about the history of the show?
Do you enjoy talking about the show with others?
Do you find yourself yelling at the TV?
Is your self-care an hour a day in Port Charles?
If so, we invite you to join hosts
Amanda Kimmel
and Shannon Coach at the place where all the hidden conversations take place and secrets are revealed.
Meet us at Pier 54,
a General Hospital fan podcast.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the Port Charles 411. What are we calling this one today?
Holiday proposals, although I think they're all Christmas.
Except for the one is kind of near, so November, December holiday proposals?
Sure.
I wonder, because I don't know if there was other ones. I feel like Jason would have proposed over 4th of July at some point.
Yeah, I looked up the Noodle Buddha stuff, and that was not in the wintertime because they went off on his motorcycle. It was the day before they were supposed to get married.
Yes.
And Matthew had planned it. So I was with you that Noodle Buddha would have made sense on New Year's Eve, but nope.
No. Well, when's Chinese New Year? Either way, he didn't propose then. Oh, it's in February. Never mind. Okay. So do you want to explain everything? You came up with this whole idea and it was super cute.
Well,
I love it.
I love it, but I don't know if I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that there's not more content, but at the same time, I'm kind of happy that there's not more content because I personally do not want a holiday engagement. I wanted it to be its own little holiday and our special day just for the two of us. So I was kind of glad that they don't seem to have overdone it. But whenever I saw Chase propose, I was like, oh, we should do holiday engagements. And it'll be so cute to hear all the backstories of these cute couples getting engaged in the snow or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then I researched, I really do feel like I researched almost to Shannon level of typing in specific. There's definitely a difference between our research, and we all know that. But I feel like I was close to your level because I was to the point where I was typing in couples' names just to see their engagement date or looking on the wiki page because it specifies dating, lovers, engaged, blah, 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 and looking at those dates and stuff. And this other one, please let us know. I even went to YouTube and typed in multiple ways of that, New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve, Thanksgiving, blah, 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 the different couples and stuff. And this is all that I came up with. So if you know of another one, please let me know because I'm interested. I want to see, I want to hear because these are really cute. And it was a nice little trip down memory lane.
And these were only limited to Thanksgiving through New Year. So if they happened at other times like Valentine's Day, those weren't included in this search. So, I guess let us know if those happen though too, because that could just wind up being its own.
Right. Yeah. We could do spring engagements. I just kind of was thinking wintertime. Yeah. Chase inspired me, him and Brook Lynn, they're so cute. So I seriously thought there'd be so much more. There are more weddings, which we could do another one on, but I just stuck with engagement, and this is all that I came up with. A really good engagement that did not fall into this because although it was in the end of November, but did not have anything holiday related about it was Rick and Leslie. And so everyone should go watch that YouTube video because it was the most anticlimactic engagement I've ever seen in my entire life. They were having dinner or having lunch. They were having a bowl of clam chowder and a piece of apple pie at Kelly's. And
together at the same time?
Yes. Isn't that weird? I would never have pie after clam chowder. But anyway, and that kid, Mike, came back in the restaurant because he forgot his lunch. And so they packed him a lunch and he ran off to school. And so Leslie and Rick are talking about how cute he is and how wonderful he is. And Rick's like, yeah, that's why I'm trying to adopt him. But I don't think that it's the right place for him to be living above Kelly's with me in a 1-bedroom room, blah, blah, blah. He needs a neighborhood. He needs a good school. He needs a house. He needs a mother. He needs this. And Leslie's like, yeah, if you want something, you should go after it. And it didn't seem to me at the time like she was talking about anything more than go buy a house so that you can say, here, I have a house to get this adoption. But she just kept saying when you want something, just go for it. Don't let them tell you no, make it happen. And so then you see her leave and Robert and Tiffany are sitting at the counter. And so he goes up to Tiffany and he's like, hey, do you happen to know a good jeweler? And she's like, I do, but he's shady. I don't know that you want to buy from him. And Robert's like, no, do not buy from him. Go to an actual store so that you can return it. And he was like, no, I don't want to return it. But I guess he ends up going to an actual store. And so it shows him, and he brings Mike with him to Leslie's house, tells Leslie to meet him at, like, it's a very important, blah, blah, blah. So she gets there and she's like, what's up? And he sits her down and, like, gives the same speech of how Mike needs a mom and a neighborhood and a nice house like what this is, and blah, 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 blah. And so he pulls out this ring and is like, hey, will you marry me? And she's like, oh, what took you so long? And they kiss. And Mike comes out right before she says yes and is like, so what's the answer? And she's like, okay, yes. And they kiss, and then they get up to, like, go tell everyone else. And they talk about how they need to go tell Amy because she'll be mad if she doesn't hear it from them, but that they also need to tell everyone else quickly, because once they tell Amy, the whole world will know anyway. And it's like, okay. And that was, like, the end of the clip. And I'm like, nope, this had nothing to do with the holiday. This was not some, like, I didn't get to spend the holiday with you and it made me realize how much I miss you, or we spent the holiday together and I realized how this should be every year. It was, we're sitting at Kelly's and, hey, I need to have a mom and a wife. Okay, sure.
Oh man, that's just too much.
It was so unromantic. Like, I don't know.
And it's not like they were, so they're both medical professionals. So for them to maybe be having, like, a Thanksgiving plate at Kelly's, right, and for that to be like their Thanksgiving dinner would almost be understandable.
Right, exactly. But nope, there was no mention of Thanksgiving. No. There was no mention of Christmas. You mentioned when we were talking earlier that they did go on to have a Christmas Eve wedding. So that's nice. But I still, I bet that doesn't have anything to do with Christmas. I bet it had to do with the fact that he wanted to get married quickly.
The timing.
So that he could get custody of Mike. So
it was probably, oh, that date's open. Oh, that's Christmas Eve. All right, let's do it. You know, not.
Exactly.
Wow. So they weren't eating the soup and the pie in tandem. They were at least after each other.
They were after each other, but it's still, that's too close for me. I don't think I could do pie.
Have some water.
Chowder. I don't think so.
I'm sorry. I was just stuck on that. And I actually forgot to tell you, you mentioned Tiffany, and I totally forgot to tell you last week. So we have a new agent in our office named Tiffany. We went from one of the, you know how we talk, like we have these conversations, but just go places. Very first time I'm meeting this girl was at our company holiday party. And we wind up talking about one of our local street names that, like, there's multiple of, but only one has an S at the end and the rest don't. So it's like they actually are different streets.
Right.
Somehow we went from there to someone she knows named Kelly Taylor lives on one of them, to then obviously 90210, to then somehow got to General Hospital.
Oh my gosh.
And she's named after Tiffany Hill.
Oh, that is so funny.
So we kind of went through that. But she's never watched General Hospital. She goes, but I know my mom named me after Tiffany. And I was like, oh, Tiffany Hill. And she's like, sure. And I was like, well, that's a good person. I said, don't worry. You're not crazy.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You could be so much worse. If she'd have said she named you Heather after it, you should be scared for your mom.
Right. All right.
Oh,
so
funny.
No. And that's, so that's cute about Leslie and Rick, but it's not.
I mean, it was just so funny because, like I said, the date popped up and I was like, oh, here's going to be one. And then, no, it was absolutely not.
And it's not even like, okay, so I don't think that he should propose just because Mike thinks he should. But it's not like Mike was sitting there at Thanksgiving with him and Rick like, man, I really wish we had Leslie here or something like that.
Right.
It was just, if anyone else was there, they probably would have been asked also.
Right.
Okay. All right. So where do you want to get us started, though?
I will let you do the first one since you got to watch the YouTube video of it.
I did watch this one because you sent it to me. So on December 24th, 1989, which again, I mean, that's almost 30 years of the show without a single holiday proposal. I guess I'm more surprised that there's more holiday weddings than proposals.
Right.
Anyway, Frisco proposes to Felicia at the brownstone on Christmas Eve. And it was really cute because BJ and baby Lucas were there.
I know.
and they're just having, a typical Christmas Eve and taking photos with like an old school camera that has a flash. And I mean, it was definitely the kind that you put the film into, not even a disposable camera.
Right.
Absolutely couldn't see the photos. And Frisco's taking a lot of pictures of them. And then he takes some pictures of Bobby and Felicia and Lucas up at the fireplace. Well, I guess BJ might have been there too. And I thought that he was going to give the camera to Tony and say, hey, can you get some pictures of me and Felicia?
That's what I thought, in front of the fireplace. Yes.
And propose. I mean, I guess my husband, when he proposed, was very adamant that he was not going to do it in front of other people, to the point where he almost didn't.
Oh my.
Because he proposed at Gettysburg on top of the castle monument. And there was a tour bus that he thankfully got pulled around. He's like, I just didn't want to be proposing in front of, like, he's like, I don't know if it's adult tourists or kid tourists or whatever. And I'm like, but okay, whatever.
Right.
It obviously worked out, so we're good. But I thought that, it's Frisco and Tony. He can propose in front of his brother. And Tony was in on it because he asked Tony, did you pick up Felicia's gift?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, I did.
And Tony and Bobby had just got married that summer. So, like, they were all in the little lovey-dovey bubble. So it would have totally made sense if he did it in front of them. Right.
So then I guess we cut to the next scene. Or Frisco just wanted pictures by himself in front of the fireplace. Which I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah.
But whatever. So then we see Felicia and Frisco sitting on the couch, and they're just talking. And he's like, I decided, I guess I can let you have one of your gifts tonight. And she's like, oh, really? And so he gives her this little box, and then in it is a littler box, and it has a wedding band that has 2 diamonds in it. And she's like, 2 diamonds? And he says, yeah, one for the first time we were married and one for hopefully the second. And he asks her to marry him, and she says yes.
Yep. It was cute. I love them. I actually watched, the Christmas movie that has Chase in it this year.
Uh-huh.
Oh, what did I tell you it was called?
Something at the Vineyard.
Something. So I watched that. And then one of the recommended ones was the Lindsay Lohan Christmas movie from last year. And so I just kind of like let it roll into it because who cares? And it had Jack Wagner in it playing Lindsay's dad. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Really?
Yeah.
It's Christmas or holiday in the vineyards.
Okay. It was a cute movie. You should watch it. I just didn't, I thought we were so silly realizing now we should have watched it and talked about it. But it was cute. But yeah, the fact that
you had such a great idea with this. How many times has this happened though, that we're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing. There's going to be this great story.
Yep.
And then it's like, meow, meow, meow.
I mean, they are great stories. They're just not as many of them as I thought there was going to be.
Right.
So the next one that I found was on December 27th, 2010, while attending the wedding of Luke Spencer and Tracy Quartermain together, Sonny and Brenda get engaged again. Sonny tells Brenda he has never been able to let her go, despite the passage of time, other marriages, and having children. Brenda says no at first, but after some convincing, I don't like the way they just said that. After some convincing, she accepts Sonny's proposal. They plan to marry in February, and both are overjoyed that they finally got the chance to gain back all that they had lost in their past. He didn't really convince her. I don't feel like convincing sounds like you don't want to do something. She just had legitimate questions of like, remember, we've done this before and it hasn't worked out. And I'm not comfortable with these different parts of your life. And I don't want to get into a dangerous situation. And he was reassuring her of this time it was going to be different and all the things that Sonny says that I think he believes in the moment, but not really how it's going to happen. And then they obviously didn't end up getting married, but the storyline that was going on at the time was whenever they were saying that Dante and Brenda had a child together, and that was like messing with everything. So, which I can't believe, like when I think of Dante, I know he's been around for a while, but I can't believe he was around in 2010. Like it doesn't seem like
I know.
So, but yeah, Sonny and Brenda together again after all those years. It was so nice.
It still didn't work out.
No, it didn't. But it was in the moment I was with them of like, yes, you're so cute.
I know.
Alrighty. Do you want to do the next one? Because you should remember it.
Sure. So on December 29th, 2016, Maxie's wedding is canceled. And that was Maxie's wedding. That wasn't her wedding to Peter, was it?
16? No, that was to Nathan. That was to Nathan because she got sick. She took too much cold.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, that's where I was just like, that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, no.
Oh, yeah, because they were getting married on New Year's Eve because that's when they met.
Yes.
Aw.
Yeah.
We should do their story. Okay. Lucy advised Nina and Valentine to leave because the priest would be locking up within a few minutes. After Lucy left, Nina asked if Valentine had meant what he had said about doing anything to keep Charlotte. Yes, Nina, I think we all know that is accurate. Valentine assured her that he had, so Nina smiled and asked Valentine to marry her because it would allow them to work together to fight for Charlotte. Okay, so wait. We are on our third holiday proposal, kind of fourth. Okay, we're going to include Rick and Leslie in this right now.
Okay.
Fourth wedding proposal.
And the second one that didn't really have to do with love.
Had to do with getting kids. Like,
yep.
Okie dokie.
Yep.
All right. In 56 years, or 53 years, that would have been 53 years of the show, half of the holiday proposals for Christmas and Thanksgiving and New Year's were only a ploy for custody purposes.
Yes.
Okay. Although we do know that Rick and Leslie did love each other, and we know that Valentine and Nina loved each other, but still.
Right.
Okay.
They probably would have got there eventually, but they rushed it for the reason of the children.
Yes. So moments later, the priest walked up to let Nina and Valentine know that it was time to leave. Nina asked if the priest would be willing to marry them right away, but the priest explained that he would need a marriage license. Yeah. Is there anywhere that you don't need a marriage license to get married?
I don't think so. At least not in the U.S. Oh, here we go, Googling.
You always need a marriage license to get married in the United States. I mean, obviously, Vegas can do it quickly.
Right, but I think they still do a search, or you have to sign something that promises you're not married to someone else.
Yeah. All right, it only says Pennsylvania, even though I said anywhere in the United States. So Google, get it together. Anyway, Valentine promised to take care of it and made a phone call to arrange for a marriage license to be dropped off within the hour. So did you watch this?
No, but I remember this.
Okay, what time of day was it?
It was night. It was dark. It was night. Okay.
Yeah, so government buildings not open. Cool. The priest
they're not open on New Year's Eve anyway.
That's true. Or is it New Year's Day?
No,
New Year's Day is the actual holiday, not New Year's Eve.
Yeah, but most places aren't open. Government buildings are not open on New Year's Eve. And if so, not past like noon.
Maybe. So the priest gave Nina and Valentine time to talk things over and stepped away. Nina admitted that her only regret was that she didn't have flowers.
Yeah.
She smiled with joy when he plucked some flowers from a nearby pew and handed them to her. A few minutes later, Valentine and Nina stood before the priest and exchanged vows. They each tied a white ribbon around each other's finger in lieu of a wedding ring. That's sweet.
That was sweet. That was sweet. As much as I did not ever like Nina, that part was very cute.
Nina and Valentine were good together until they really were not.
Right. He's the one that messed that up. So,
yeah.
He has a bit of a track record for that.
Just a bit.
Mm-hmm. And then this one, everyone should remember, 12/30/22, Michael proposes again to Willow during a quiet evening at home with Lila's ring. And I rewatched that one, even though it was just last year. But yeah, they were staying in because of all the leukemia stuff going on. And so they just wanted a quiet night at home. And they were sitting on the couch talking about everything. And then Michael runs upstairs. I think he ran upstairs. Maybe he had it in his pocket, but I'm pretty sure he ran upstairs and came back down and was like, here, this is yours. It's always been yours. After the first time I gave it to you, it belonged to you. I could have put it back in grandmother's jewelry box, but I knew that someday this was going to be given to you again. Will you marry me? And she was like, yes, all smoochies and adorable. But
that is sweet. And there's really no one else that should have Lila's ring, right?
Right. And it was sweet. But at the same time, like they had already been living together for a couple months. They already had Wiley. Like
And
I would
Amelia.
hope
Or she was pregnant with Amelia.
she's pregnant with Amelia.
Yeah.
So and then right after the engagement, she passed out and ended up having to go to the hospital. And that was when like everybody who secretly knew was like, yeah, we all know that she's sick. What can we do? How can we make this better? Blah, blah,
Right.
blah. And so it threw us into that storyline. But I don't know. I mean, I guess that I like that it was just them hanging out at home, because I feel like it didn't need to be some big crazy thing after they've already been married once and are basically together anyway. So.
But technically, their first wedding was a sham and was again for custody purposes. That's what we need to do.
There you go. How many weddings for custody purposes? I like that.
How many marriages were legit and how many were for ulterior motives?
There you go.
I feel like that would be a fun one.
Yeah.
Okay. If you guys remember any of your favorite, let's just call them sham marriages, just to kind of be all encompassing, email us, our peer54podcast@gmail.com, because then we could also say, well, they got married under false pretenses, but then grew to love each other, or it did not work out at all.
Yeah.
Oh, we need to do this one.
That'll be fun.
We already have our next few weeks, though, figured out.
We do. Well, we can get that one around, I was going to say around Valentine's Day, but we're not going to be done with what we're doing just by Valentine's Day.
No.
Alrighty. Well, we can do it after what we're working on, because it can be like a funny thing.
Yes. Yes.
Storyline.
Yes. We might have to do a breakup in between there anyway, because sometimes we need to do that. Okay. So then, because I don't think we did Alan straight in a row. No? It was 12 episodes, but I think it was 4 months that we wound up, because I think we wound up having to address a couple things as they came up.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to go back and take a look.
Okay.
Anyhow, back to this. That's a fun one, though. Okay. See, this is why this was a great idea, because it gets you triggered to go do more and more and more and more.
Unfortunately, we have that problem with everyone that we do.
But that's why the show is going to be sustainable for so long, because we are never going to run out of 411 themes. So then on December 1st, 2023, Chase proposed to a shocked Brook Lynn Quartermaine in the Quartermaine family kitchen. Brook Lynn is hesitant because she thinks that Chase is only proposing because of pressure from her mother and grandmother, because at Thanksgiving, Gloria, played by Ellen Travolta, basically very first thing she said was, "So you're cute. You make my granddaughter happy. Why aren't you married yet? You've been dating a year." You know?
Right. You've been together a year. It's time for that ring.
They've really only been together that long, though, right?
Yeah, it hasn't been. It was last year's family picnic whenever Leo made that potion that they like finally admitted that they liked each other, and then it still took them a little while to like actually start dating.
Yeah, because I do believe that their first real kiss is actually on our end of year recap. So anyway, and then Lois kind of started getting on board with it.
Mm-hmm.
And she was talking more to Brook Lynn about it, though. Like, seriously, why aren't you guys talking marriage? Why aren't you? And Lois, of all people.
Right.
But, I mean, she got smitten with Ned pretty quickly, and I guess makes sense to her. But then Chase did reassure her, and that was the cliffhanger, too. So it was Friday when he asked her, and she was like, but she didn't. Did she say, "Are you sure?" Or
she said something like that, because he had asked what her top couple moments of her life were, and she said it. And he was like, "I want this to be one," and she like kind of caught on to what was going on, and she was like, "You don't have to do this."
That was it. It was something like that, because then you're like, "Wait a second, what's happening on Monday then?" And then on Monday they talked about it, and she says, "You're only doing that because my mom and my grandma were like pressuring you." And he's like, "No, I've been walking around with this ring for a while now. This just happened to work," because he reassured her that, he had bought the ring and he was intending on proposing for Christmas. But because of everything with Gregory's illness and how it's progressing, he realizes that he should not be taking any day for granted. So he asks Brook Lynn to marry him a second time in 5 minutes, and then she accepts.
Yep.
And we're anticipating that they are going to be married relatively quickly. Do you think that they're going to so I've only watched one episode this week. because there's only been one episode this week.
Yep.
Okay. I'm thinking maybe Valentine's Day.
Well, see, I thought maybe they might push for New Year's.
That would be great, but that'd be very, very, very quickly.
It would, but I don't know.
I mean, we agreed white and red would be great for her.
Yeah. So
Like for
they
them.
could do either. Yeah. Valentine's Day would be pretty.
Yeah.
I
And
don't
yeah,
know. It feels so far away, even though I know it's not.
right. So yeah, I mean that's it for the Thanksgiving, Christmas, or New Year's Eve, New Year's Day proposals.
Yes. I actually am hoping that I missed something. I can't wait. Like, I want someone to write in and be like, you forgot about this one that happened in the 70s because you didn't know these people because you were not born yet. And this was a great proposal, blah, blah, blah. And then I can be like, I'm sorry I missed that, but thank you so much for letting us know.
Absolutely. Well, because you even mentioned that there was the one with the speakeasy where everyone was portraying different characters, but not characters that we knew. It's not like when they were doing the flashback to Luke's childhood when we saw Patricia and Luke and his mom and stuff. These were all characters that we didn't know, that we don't care about, that were just telling a story.
Right. Exactly. It was I don't want to call it dumb, but it did not have any like moment to it because you had no idea who these characters were. It was just like, these people are
no attachment to them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't really understand the point of that episode back then. And it definitely didn't make sense to talk about it now. And then there was one on January 3rd. Oh, I don't know what the year was, but it was it was Liz and Jason. And she came to him and was like, I want to be with you, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, I want to be with you. And she was like, oh, okay, but what does that mean? And he was like, I want to spend my life with you. And she was like, okay, but still, like, what does that mean? Like, he quit avoiding the question. She said to him, quit showing off your avoidance skills and answer, like, what do you mean? And he was like, I want a life with you and the boys. I want our family. I want to be with you. I want to marry you. And they kissed, and like 5 seconds later, the call comes in that Michael got shot. So,
I mean, is that really even okay? So, it doesn't have a year. So it says, shortly after the news of Emily's murder spreads across Port Charles, Jason and Liz find comfort in one another, and the two begin seeing each other in secret. Jason asks Liz to marry him, and she happily accepts. But a few hours later, when Jason's nephew, Michael Corinthos Dylan Cash, is shot, Jason decides to end their relationship. So when was Michael Corinthos shot? Because that's when they aged him up.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a second. Are you sure it was in January? Because this says viewers are shocked and dismayed on April 4th, 2008, when 12-year-old Michael gets shot in the head and falls into a coma.
Oh, the thing that I read, the date was January 3rd.
Hold on. January 3rd, 2008, Jason Morgan.
There you go.
This one has a whole lot of nothing in it. Hold on. 2008. We will get to the bottom of this. Jason has a really big write-up. What a shock, but
he's been on for a little while.
It just says that Elizabeth and Jason begin to meet secretly. They become engaged, but on the same day of their engagement, Michael is shot and Jason ends their engagement. A war with the rival Martian mob begins to escalate in November 2008. Oh well.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I misread the date. Maybe it was the date that someone posted the video, but I was pretty sure that they said the original air date. Because I tried to check those to make sure I wasn't giving misinformation, but
that happens. Boy, we'll keep it in because it could be.
But yeah, like I said, I just hope people flood us with ones that I missed. This is a day I'd like to be incompetent because I want them to be more.
I fully understand that statement. There are so many things I would love to be wrong about.
Right? Because I was so excited and I found these not easily, like I had to dig for them, but it didn't take a ton of time to find them. And so I was like, oh, and just like the first day or so of taking time to look at it, I found all these. That means that if I put a few more days to it, I'm going to find, 5 or 6 more each time. And I'm going to have a list of like 20 of them. And then I like went back and checked, like I said, to the point where I was just typing in couples' names and I didn't have any more. And I really find that hard to believe.
When did, for whatever reason, Stefan and Catherine just popped in my head, but I'm thinking that was the Bacchanalia, wasn't it?
I think so.
I was just thinking fancy party, and it was probably that. So, all right. Well, please, please, please let us know if we were wrong about this, or if there's anything to add it to it. There's not really anything to be wrong about with some of this.
Right.
But I'm with you. Like, I would not have been in favor of an engagement during a holiday. Well, I guess with that, we could talk about what happened on this week's episodes, the last ones for 2023 on this upcoming Monday.
That's right. Whole other year. Oh, man.
Yes.
We'll have to listen to our predictions.
We do.
We have to listen to our predictions from last year, the beginning of the year, to see what we were right and wrong about. All right. So with that, have a good weekend.
And we'll meet you at the pier. And Happy New Year.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I guess the recap will be on Monday.
Day.
Yeah. All right. Either way, Happy New Year.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to go to peer54podcast.com to subscribe on your favorite platform. Don't forget to leave us a review.
And you can also follow us on many social media channels. Just search for Peer 54 Podcast. Also, we are not perfect, so if there is something that we missed or messed up, just let us know by emailing us at peer54podcast@gmail.com.